Of course, the major issues that relate to the small business, as we have heard from the minister, is that one of the finance, access to finance. We've been calling now increasingly for a creation of a black bank that must actually cater for the needs of the small businesses who are actually getting neglected by the big banks. We've had a discussion with some of the big banks. They don't seem to be convinced on this argument, not that I expect them to be convinced. The point is that we need more avenues, more facilities that will assist the small businesses to be able to have access to finance. Another point which I hope we can find time to discuss with a minister, probably more with the Minister of Finance, is the issue of creating tax incentives for those private sector who might want to invest in small business development, and therefore they know that you can make money when you support small business. Because that seems to be the one thing that might be able to help guide some of the investors to go into townships and some of the neglected informal economies. But there's a huge amount of money there. And sometimes people create an impression that small businesses don't pay. Actually, those are the ones who pay, because the rules there are a bit rough. With the loan sharks there, it's a law of the jungle. You can pay up to 50% or above in terms of your repayment cost of that particular loan. Now, we need that sector to be protected. And so I believe that that area is an area that we need to look at. And so access to market, it should not just be about government having to do something. I think big business must do something about it. It must be a new way of doing business in South Africa, where big business must look out and say, this area, we were going to encourage small businesses to participate. I found it interesting, Minister, we got to engage with General Electric when they got a contract with Transnet. Amongst the large companies that were involved, then they came and asked us for an advice, and we said to them, look, what we think is important is to be able to focus on small business development. And they engaged with NAFCOC. Somewhere along the process, they ended up with about a few smaller suppliers who they thought they would be interested. But then they said they were not good enough for the kind of standards that they were looking at. And so they initially thought of dropping them. And then we said, well, we think that you have actually made the point. You have found them, but they are not up to standard. So your job is to bring them up to standard. And then they agreed. And at the end of the day, they've now been exposed to the GE's international global procurement systems, which means it's possible to actually build from local entrepreneurs and of course, link them up to much larger operations. So the point that we want to make for this morning is that our interaction must lead us to a point where we understand what the ANC is talking about when we talk about radical economic transformation. It's a whole manner of areas where we believe that change has to come, and a change must come for the purpose of promoting more and more entrepreneurial activity in the neglected communities, in particular in the small business and small and medium sector, business sector, as well as in the black business area, where we are able to get as much, as much of the experience and skills to be given support to grow. And that is what this radical economic transformation is about. We hope that this morning's engagement will allow us space to share some of the views you have, and then of course we'll continue to have our discussions. At the end of the day, the time to change the base from which our economy is going to grow has come. We need to work together to make sure that there's growth, and that growth is inclusive, and it's happening at a level where more and more participants, owners, are able to be part of this economy. And that's what this discussion is all about. We hope that you enjoy your morning show, but we hope that we'll also get some ideas that we can take into the conference. Thank you very much.